Hey, hi. I think we are live. So got a bit delayed to start with this one. We discussed that we'll be building the Dodo clone. So actually, whether people who are more interested in building this using Java, actually, we already have a couple of people from our open source community, Shubho and Soumya. So they are building this same thing in Java as well, right? And today I'll get started with building the same thing using NestJS, which is a Node plus TypeScript framework, right? For the people who do not have the context, we're just joining in just to give you a little bit of idea. Um, so we discussed this social media clone that we're going to be building. We just for fun we called it Moo, and the idea is it is gonna be a lot like Twitter. There's gonna be 240 character texts, and people can post, and then they can reshare the posts, and people can follow each other. But largely the main features that Twitter has, right? Um, we have we have this URL that I'll just share with you people. If there, we'll do that. Just hold on. Yeah, so just share the URL on the chat where you can, find out the discussions that we had. So we have discussed what data entities you would need. You need users, you need posts, notifications, hashtags, and we have done a little bit of basic database design as well. So we had already had a session where we did a database design session where we discussed what tables we will need. So the tables are detailed there, the columns and all, which columns would be there, what the data definition. So that part of the system design we had actually done. And we also have like a data diagram that I think Shubhadeep had posted there. Plus, what APIs we need, that also we had already discussed. So that's also sort of detailed there. There's the, we would have a get endpoint for user slash username to get a user, to get a user ID, to create a new user, to fetch the feed, fetch one particular post, then the hashtags. So a lot of those things are actually defined. So it's going to be very, very easy to get started with. In today's session, what we'll do is we will get started with the basic project structure, set up the database, set up the framework and all of that stuff. Okay. If you want to be involved in this project over the longer time, I mean, today we'd have a 1 hour, maybe 2 hours live stream where we build part of it and we'll continue to build it. We have, our Discord. So most of the discussion actually happens here. So this is the Scalar Discord. You can join on, discord.gg/Scalar. Just mention that as well here. So you can go to discord.gg/scalar to join our Discord server. People who are not on this live stream and who don't know about Discord. So here there is a channel called Talk Open Source, and on that we generally do all the discussion about our open source projects that we are working on. Okay. Okay. Let's get started. Actually, let's get started building it. So create a new folder and all. So feel free to ask me anything on the chat, anything that you feel like you want couldn't understand, or if you are on the Discord on the Talk Open Source channel, I'm monitoring that as well. So if there is anybody mentioning anything there, I would pick up questions from both those places. Okay. Uh, so Jaswant, please do ask your friends to come over and watch it for sure. Why not? Anurag has asked why TypeScript. So, these days, most industry level applications, they are using bigger Node.js projects. They're moving to TypeScript because there is that type safety available, and it's a little easier to manage when you're having a bigger team and a bigger project. So, that's why TypeScript is sort of preferred these days. Why Nest framework? Good question. So we did a project, by the way. We just also have another project along with this going on, which is we're creating a URL shortener, and that uses Express. That uses Node.js and TypeScript only, but it uses Express, plain Express. So it does not use Nest as a framework. It's a more simpler project. The endpoints there actually are defined as well. So just URLs can be shortened, and then based on the short URL, it can be redirected to the long URL. So general user URL shortener kind of thing. This Twitter clone one, I believe it will turn out to be a little bigger project, and Nest provides proper project structure that there are clearly defined controllers and services and so on. And I'm going to be developing this as if I'm building my first NestJS project, so I will try to build it like that. So you see the approach, like I will be following the documentation out here. Just whatever I don't know, I'll look it up from here. So you will see what's the process. So like how do actually developers are working on new uh, frameworks, how do they work? In fact, I myself have built only one or two projects using NestJS before this. Not really like super experienced on NestJS myself. But the few projects that I built using NestJS, I have felt that it's kind of better framework to use. The basic structure that it provides, it's kind of better. So I think to get started, I think we have to sort of install the NestJS CLI. So I'll do that. Right, and using the CLI, we will basically scaffold our first new project. That's essentially the idea. Okay. Um, just quickly checking the text size and everything. I hope is fine that you people can see. Is the text size okay? Audio fine? No issues on that, right? Let me know if you want a little bigger text size or if you feel the audio is not clear or something like that. Hey, Kavita, so we haven't really started with anything. We just, the only context that you need is, we have this design discussion done here. I'll just sort of, sorry. So yeah, that's the design discussion. I just sent a link of that. You can see that what we are building. It has contains the database structure and the API and all, which we are be building. And I'm just starting off with the project. That's it. Nothing else here. So let's see. So to build a new Nest project, apparently we have to do something like this: Nest new and project name. So I'll do that. Nest new, and let's call it move backend node. Uh, so we can call it Twitter backend node itself. That's also fine. Uh, So I'll go with npm as my package manager. And as I keep building it, what I will do is I'll just create a GitHub repository and upload it, and I'll just share that link on the chat with all of you people, so that as you're following the video, every little bit that I'm writing, I'll just keep committing it and pushing it there, so you should be able to see that. Um, Prabhat, can you draw a parallel between some similar frameworks in other languages? So um, it's a lot like how Ruby on Rails works in SJS, I believe, and also like Django. So it's a more structured framework compared to something like Express, where we build the roots by hand and we create the any ORM we want to we can use like that. So it's more constrained, more structured. which means that generally, like if you have two projects both written in Express, they might be very different in their project structure. But if you have two projects written in NestJS, their project structures would be much similar to each other because the way you do everything is more well defined. Okay. Um, Cyan has asked about scalability. Scalability really comes from the design of the project and not from the code of the project, right? There are smaller scalability things to keep in mind when we are working on it. We will discuss those things, right? Uh, so we'll put those things when we are coding that. But more of the larger scalability stuff actually we had done when we are discussing the system. So for example, how the hashtags would be stored, we had done that discussion. And like I said, if you want to stay connected and be part of more such discussions of our open source projects, we regularly have discussions on system design, database design, as well as we have sessions like these where we're going to be actually coding it live. Be connected over our Discord server, discord.gg/scalar, that is. Some of the scalability side things like how to cache things and all are actually we discussed that, and that's incorporated in the database design, but we will discuss some of those things as we are coding it as well. Okay. So that's a project gotten created. And let me just okay. I'll just share the link of the GitHub repository as well. So I'm just sharing it both on. Okay, so just shared it on Discord and as well as shared it on the chat. There's the GitHub repository link. Please just open it, keep it open in parallel, and as I keep coding it, I'll do small updates and commit it there so you can follow the code via that. Okay, so first things first, if I look at the project that has just been generated, okay. So at this stage, the project that has been generated, it contains a few files already. There's an SRC folder. The SRC folder contains in the main.ts, which is how the app sort of starts. There is a bootstrap function which loads the app, and the app is going to listen on channel port 3000. To build or run this project, there are steps in the package.json file. So if you run build, it creates the project, right? So in fact, if I just do that, let me. So if I just run npm run build, right? Um, It generates a project in the dist folder actually, right? So the project is written in TypeScript. It generates a JavaScript Node.js project out of that if I run build. To run the project, we can do npm run and there is start. So it's the normal start, but we can also run start colon dev, which means it will watch my files and every time I make some changes, it will automatically change them. So if I do npm run start, uh, yes, generally for development purposes, you use start or start dev. Um, then if I go to basically, something like localhost 3000, as my app is actually running, it's just hello world. That's the only route that's defined. It's defined in the controller. So in the controller, it's defined that, there's a get hello function, which there's a service. So it's a little more complicated. So I'll explain. So controllers define the routes, and if you have not defined any particular path, then it's going to respond on the slash path on every path. But if I say that this is the slash xxx path or something like hello path, uh, right? In this case, what will happen is that if I open the normal path, uh, I'll see I'm not getting anything. But if I go to slash hello, sorry, yeah, it started now. So if I go to the normal 3000 path, it says, cannot get like this. Okay. But if I go to slash hello, then the hello world path actually comes up. So, the get annotation here, these kind of things are called annotation. Now, in plain JavaScript, Node.js, you might not have seen something like this, but if you have used something like Kotlin or Java, then you know what annotations are, and time TypeScript annotations exist. So using annotation, we can actually tell which path it is for, and then this is the function. Now, inside this function, we can actually return directly a string. We can return, hey there, something like this. Okay. Right. So if we do this, in that case, that's what will get returned here. As you can see, it says, hey there. But instead of doing that, what the code that is automatically generated by the project, it says this dot app service dot get hello. So what's this app service thing? It's basically our business logic, like what is supposed to be returned and all that logic is separated into services. Okay, so essentially, like how the app structure looks like is that whenever any request comes in, the request would be coming into a controller. The controllers would call a function inside a service class to actually run some logic and return from there. The service might in turn actually look into some repository for data. Repositories are to connect to your databases. Okay, that's the largely what the structure looks like. Okay. Now, let's say I want to build some controllers here. How to do that? Let's just start with, okay, we know that we have to build this particular API, right? Let me just put this thing here. I will put yeah, the output separately here. Yeah. Right. So we know that we have to build these APIs. We have to build a get users API, get user slash user ID APIs, post patch, put these, for example, APIs we need to build. Okay. So for that, we'll need to make a controller for each of these APIs. And for the database stuff, we will have to create entities. Okay. So what I will do is I will first create the controllers. Then I will create the entities and then I will connect them using services between them. Okay. So let's create controllers first and see how that happens. And to build controllers, what do we need to do? So, this is what controllers do. Any HTTP request that comes, they basically hit a controller. That's the essence of a controller. How to create a controller using the CLI. So, there are apparently, so to quickly create a controller, we can use NestG resource, something like that is given. To build controllers, what we do is we add like this nest G. G is for generate. If you just write nest, it will tell you what kind of things you can use. Okay, you can generate controllers and how to generate a controller. It's an option, it's a name, all of that. So let's do that. We need a controller for you know users. Definitely need a controller for users. So nestg. Okay. If I just do that, uh, it creates a users folder and it creates a user controller inside that. Okay. And it writes some test cases also for that. Now, to also explain why I prefer something like NestJS a lot is that whenever say controller gets created, the test case for that is also automatically generated. So unit tests are automatically generated for you. You create a controller, test case is generated for you. Okay, and lint rules also already exist. So there is a ESLint rule file. So lint rules also exist for you, which means that for example, I was just a little while ago I was writing this that if I write something like return hello world, if I write with double quotes instead of single quote, it underlines that it says that according to our linting service we are supposed to write with single quote, and it can also be quickly fixed. Okay, so when you create an SJS project, it comes sort of like they say, in batteries included. There is linting service available so that your code is clean. There is a test available so that you always create good test-driven development you're doing, and people who are sort of contributing to this project, they also have to follow those lint rules, and they need to pass the test cases. So a much more structured project gets built. Okay. So we need a users controller. We'll just get around to what all endpoints we need in them as well. But we need a users controller. We need a posts controller, and we need a hashtags controller. Oh, yeah. A couple of things on the chat. So ethical programmer says unit testing with Jest is very easy to integrate. Um, you know, uh, that's very correct that we can integrate Jest very easily, and we can integrate dependency injection very easily. But zero is always better than easy, right? We don't have to integrate them when you're using Node.js. It's already integrated. Not having to integrate is always better than easy to integrate. Easy is better than hard. Already integrated is better than still easy. Okay. So we've got hashtags, we have got a controller for that, posts and users. Okay. Then what are the endpoints that we need? So we just build those as well. So we need a get hashtags kind of a thing here. So that would look like, hashtag one, there would be a controller for, we write like this, get, and you can basically write a function there, which is basically, get top hashtag or something like that, get top. Okay. Um, how does the controller for the app controller basically look like? You have to define what's going to be the return type there. So I'm just going to say, write that the return type is going to be of type string for now. and I'll write a to do. Okay. Um, Now, as soon as you make something like this, if I just run my project is actually already running. It should be already running with all the changes, right? So if I go to slash hashtags at this point, um, slash hashtags, let me just quickly run it again. So we have the hashtags controller added. Let's see if hashtags it's working. Hashtags and get request to slash hashtags. Okay, that does not seem to work. Um, oh, I think I made a spelling mistake this side. Uh, Hashtags, yeah. So that's how we basically add new root endpoints. Like you create a root.get or app.get kind of thing in Express. Here we do it using hashtags, like controllers like this. So let me quickly add the skeleton, the dummy controllers right now without adding any logic. So let me do all that, and I will make a commit at that level that okay, we have added the controllers. So we have created hashtags. We had this is one controller. We need another for get hashtag slash tag and post. So how do we add parameters in the root? So let's check that as well. Controllers and we can add root wildcards like this is also possible. And I believe that root parameters like this are also possible, right? With the color. It's pretty much like how it works in Express as well. By the way, NestJS internally uses Express, okay? So got it. So we'll do get slash tag and then post. So that's the one we want, right? Hashtags slash tag slash posts. That's something we want. How do I use this tag, right? So to use that, we just do params like this. So we write. Show all posts with hashtag param dot tag. Okay, so let's see if that works. Um, Now, if we try to go to hashtags slash given a tag name and then slash posts, which would be like going to this place, hashtags slash say JavaScript slash posts to show all posts with hashtag JavaScript. So, I mean, basically the route is working. We will have to obviously write the actual logic here as well later. So, I'm just keeping that for that. So, okay. How's it gonna look like? So if you look at the repository now, I've added the first commit. So later on, when you're browsing this repository after you watch this video, whether you're watching it live right now, whether you watch this recorded video later, so you can mostly browse the repository via the commits pretty well. That okay, these are the steps. So this is how the controllers were added. So I, when the controllers were added, what all things happened. So the controller files itself got added. This is the get hashtag part, the get post for hashtag part, all of that stuff. Um, and another thing that happened is that in the app module.ts file, which is basically this file, app module.ts. So inside the module file, we have to sort of write which controllers we are using. So originally only the app controller was getting used, as you can see. Now the user controller, the post controller, the hashtags controller, they are all getting used. Okay, cool. Okay. We'll do the rest of the controller stuff very soon. A couple of things like when you're creating an open source project like this, it's good to have say I'll just show that if you look at Node.js project itself, the NestJS project itself, right? These labels are actually generated from there. So if you go to NestJS GitHub, it's a big open source project. They generally have all of these, set of labels, and also these labels tell a lot of things. One of them is like, say, whether build is passing or not, whether how many downloads it has or not. So downloads and all we'll see later. But and what's the code coverage and all. So there are a bunch of websites where code coverage is shown, and CI websites where it shows that whether the app was able to build or not. So to do those things, I think we should also set the similar set of things up for us. And I will actually delete the stuff here from the top. Um, okay. Um, Now we would want to set it up in such a way that whenever I make a push or something like that, it gets sort of built. So we can set up some of those things, which at a very early stage for an open source project, it's great to have. That using GitHub Actions, we will build our project. Okay, and we will run some tests as well, and we'll make sure that if somebody sends a pull request, then those tests are also run, lints pass, so and so, right? So let's do that actually. um, so GitHub action for Node.js. Let me just search. So obviously there is some information available here. So you have to create uh, a folder here. Sorry, at the outset itself, we create a folder dot GitHub slash workflows. Uh, and in GitHub slash workflows, we create a file node.js dot yml. Let's just say we create something called node.js dot yml. Okay. Um, so here's what the node.js dot yml file should generally look like. We'll run node.js CI on push on a main branch and pull request on the main branch. Ideally, a branch should also be called main, but we have called it master. So when during the Black Lives Matter movement, there was a bit of discussion about having the main branch called as main rather than master, which we can also do. So uh, I think it's a new laptop. I've forgotten doing that on Git by default. Master is the default branch that's generated. We can fix that for this project. We can fix that forever as well. We can do git config default branch name. I think I change that. Uh, yeah, I think we just run this command. So if we do that, then our git config file contains default branch name main. So in future, whatever repositories we will make, the main branch would be called main rather than master. How to change it for our repository? We should also do that for our repository. I'm just taking a little bit of time out because it's a good thing to do. People say that it's not good to use racist terminologies, so we should also, do our little bit of effort into that. Um, how to change branches? Little menu over here. So what we'll do, we'll create a new branch. Git checkout be main. Okay. So we are now on the main branch instead of the master branch. Okay. Um, so I'll just commit some of the things that we had done. Add README and GitHub Actions. Okay. Then what we'll do git push origin main. Okay. So now master and main both are pushed. We will do is we will delete the master branch locally. So now I don't have master branch on my computer, but the remote still has it. Uh, so to do that, what I have to do is in my repository, I have to go to the settings and I have to change the default branch to main. Um, should be a place to do that and go to branches. And default branch is we can choose main as the default branch. Okay. Now, once that is done, we can do is git push origin. And if I write push nothing to master, it basically deletes the master from origin. Okay, so master branch is deleted from origin, and you can see it only has main branch and no master branch. Good thing to do. Okay. Um, so we want to test on maybe Node.js 14 and 16, latest versions of Node.js available. So it will check out and run npm CI and it will run npm build. Great. We do have a test as well. So if you want to, test, we can do that as well. So npm run test. If I run, it actually runs the all the tests of my project. It actually runs tests using jest only. Um, so all the files which are .spec.ts, those are all test files. They contain, right now they only contain mostly mock tests. Okay, all the tests are passing. So if I want tests to be run as well, we can do this thing. We can go to our GitHub workflow. And okay, it's already running build and it's already running test. So awesome, actually. Every time I push, it's gonna test that the project is in a buildable state right now or not. Okay. We can now add a little badge for that. So how to add that badge here? You know, GitHub action badge. Let's see how to do that. So that's how the um, badges are made. So I'll just add one here. So my workflow is nodejs.yml, nodejs.yml, and it's building. So I add a badge for that. Okay. So now if I see my repository, there should be this badge. It's not visible yet. Mm. Oh, sorry. I have to change the repository name. Repository is Scalar Academy slash Twitter backend node. There we go. So that says that NodeJS CI is passing, which so anybody comes to this repository, they would know that my build is passing. So they can download this project and they can also try to build, and it should work. So this is a validation of the fact that okay, my builds are passing, which is sort of important. Okay. Cool. Now we will just continue with the rest of the things that we're doing. So we will continue with the controllers, the other controllers. We have a users controller to build. This is supposed to have, let's see if it works like this or not. So I'm going to write here is that, and I'll have to add the params here as well. I'm going to try something and let's see if it works or not. Whether writing at the rate and then the parameter like this, whether it works like this or not, or I would have to sort of include the at the rate into my if condition or not. Let me try this out quickly. So just go and is it running? Yeah, it's still running, right? Um, I'll just restart it anyway. Cool. So if I make a get request to slash user slash at the rate Arnav. Okay, fantastic. So if I make a request to at the rate Arnav, then it says get details of username Arnav, and if I send a request to some ID like this, it says details of user ID. So because it does pattern matching, so it's able to get these two. So these two are done. Uh, Post users to create a new user. So let me do that as well. I'll just actually add to do everywhere. Okay. Now this is going to be post. I'll add these to do everywhere so that later on I can see which ones are incomplete, right? Um, okay, so this should be about the update details of user ID. Put and delete for follow to follow a user. So should be put slash uh, user ID. Okay, slash users is not needed. That's already prefixed. Slash user ID slash follow. If I make a put request here, so follow user. Similarly, there should be one for delete. Okay. Then we have got get followers and get followees. Okay. So we have got user ID slash followers to get all the followers. Followers of user. Put on slash user ID slash follow is okay. So okay. So Mostly the endpoints that we need for users are done. I'll just make a commit for that.